Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, let me show you the best Hydra team I have ever built. This was from the grand finals. There's me, just to prove it was me. Um, the grand finals of the Hydra Creator Clash, where each of us, 8 different content creators, had to draft our champions. Once you picked a champion, it meant that nobody else could use that champion. Going through build the best team that you could. And yeah, we went all the way through different fights. I had to fight Odd One Gaming in round 1. I had to fight Hell Hades in round 2, and then finally Scratch in the grand finals. And the funny thing is that I think this draft worked out. I got quite lucky, honestly, because I feel like I walked away with possibly the best team I could have possibly built with my account. Honestly, possibly. It's not the best team you could possibly build in Raid. So, for example, you could stick in an Acrizia here as your damage dealer. That would definitely push this team further. I don't have Acrizia, though. For my account, this is a fairly free-to-play, accessible team. I can even suggest to you a couple of replacements. But yeah, let's look at it. Let's break it down. So what is going on with this team? Well, really, this team has sort of a core of 5 champions that just work together incredibly well, incredibly synergistically. So in the lead, excuse me, I've got some allergies at the moment, so my eyes keep watering and they're a bit stingy. It's really hot. We're in like a heat wave here in Ireland. It's great. We brought the dog out swimming today in like a lake. It's great fun. We've got Nekmo Thaar in the lead. Nekmo is just fantastic. I actually did not have him in round 1, so I used a champion, Mother Cybele, before that, right? Let's leave that run going, and let's show you these champions. Go away with your offers here. So Nekmo Thaar, he is part 1 of this combo. Gives us speed aura, that's brilliant. Gives us increased speed and turn meter. AoE decreased speed and leech. And also brings decreased attack. These are pretty much the most important buffs and debuffs to have in Hydra, except for block buffs is the other really important one. Increased speed is really nice because it helps your team get more turns than the Hydra heads. You keep on top of your moves, and that way you can always ensure that your provokes, your block buffs, your damage is coming out at the right time. You're not going to get outrun. Decreased speed is the same thing. I would actually say that decreased speed, I think generally speaking, is better than the increased speed. Oh my god, my eye is so bad. It's so bad. This one's fine. This one is watering. But decreased speed even better, right? Because you decrease their stats, and that's a bit easier to maintain because, you can keep that up. So you will be faster than the Hydra heads. So it's much easier to maintain 100% decreased speed than it is to keep 100% increased speed, unless you got a champion like Nekmo, of course. He brings both. Leech helps you heal up. The decreased attack stops Head of Wrath. So he is just a perfect champion. Like I said, Mother Cybele was who I used in round 1. Instead, I didn't have Nekmo Thaar in my original draft. She brings a speed aura, which is nice, with the AoE decreased speed. So someone that's going to manipulate speed, is ideal here. So that's really, really good. Jumping back into the run. And you can see our damage is super high so far, actually, per turn. Number 2 that's part of this amazing combo is Mithrala. Mithrala was actually my first pick in the draft, and I think this one really surprised people. I think people did not realize how good Mithrala is. So she brings you increased defense, increased attack, and an AoE hex. So this, part of the reason I picked her so early in the draft, is that she is going to power up any non-max HP damage dealer. I guess you got your HP-based ones, but any attack or defensive-based damage dealer, she's going to give them the buff they need to do 60 or 50% more damage. So that's really important. Hex is also extremely good in Hydra. Hex will duplicate. Basically, an enemy with Hex is going to take 10% of any single target damage you do to other heads. It's going to take 2% of any AoE damage. This is particularly strong with single target damage dealing, especially against decapitated heads. Like right here, this head's decapitated, and it's going to duplicate all that damage, 10% of it across. So you're going to see all these little damage numbers, and those ticking up really add up. War Master procs really add up. Again, especially this damage against decapitated heads. Like we hit him for 80,000 here, and you see the 8,000 ticks on these other heads. It's just duplicating a bunch of damage. Effectively, it's 30% more damage from your single target damage dealers, and especially against decapitated heads, that ends up being extremely strong. So she's fantastic. The bigger reason that she's really good here, though, is her A3. Strengthen and shield with a full cleanse as well every 3 turns. She's a free champion. Everyone can get Mithrala. The reason this is so strong, she gives so much protection, so much tankiness to your team. All those nasty debuffs, she's going to cleanse them off regularly. And then she's bringing increased defense, strengthen, and a really big shield as well. It's all of the defensive buffs that you need without having to risk block debuffs and that being stolen and that going wrong. So that's really, really good. You can see actually here, 8 minutes in, about 38 turns into the boss, we're very much approaching 1 key damage on Brutal, which is what the difficulty we did this on. Would this team work for Nightmare? Yes, absolutely. This team would work no problem for Nightmare. Obviously, we wouldn't get as high of a score as we're going to get at the end of this run because it would wipe sooner, of course, but it would still work absolutely no problem. Like right there, you can see Head of Wrath did his big attack. My squishiest champion here was Varl the Destroyer over on the right, and he's totally fine. Who's up next? So up next, I think the other part of this combo, again, very free to play, accessible. I'm always raving about this champion for Hydra is Ugo. I feel bad, honestly, because I promote this champion so hard for Hydra. Because she's just so good. There are alternatives, but you know the legendaries are hard to get, like Supreme Galek, or Supreme Galek. That's how you say it. Gaelic or Galek. It's Galek. We've learned it's Athel. Didn't see that one coming from Call of the Arbiter. Athel. It bothers me. I think is it Kyle or something for Kale? It's something ridiculous that does not make sense with the construction of the word. And my bet it's El Hayin. El Hayin. It's Arabic, of course. But yeah, look, Ugo brings in AoE decreased defense and block buffs. So these are, again, the 2 big things that you're missing so far. You got the tankiness from Mithrala with the Hex for extra damage. You got all the speed control from Nekmo. Ugo comes in. She brings decreased defense, which is the debuff to up your damage, and then block buffs, which stops the increased attack, reflect damage, poison cloud, all block debuffs on Head of Wrath, all that stuff that's going to mess up your run. So that is so crucial. She also brings healing with another cleanse here, mini cleanse, and then another source of leech. So if you don't have Nekmo, this brings you in the leech, right? And she's just an epic, so that's big. The other 2 parts of this combo, Inquisitor Shamael, again, very accessible as an epic. He makes the Head of Torment a non-issue, and he combos very well with those AoE A1 leads. So Nekmo Thaar, AoEs everywhere, brilliant with Shamael for being boosted up. Mother Cybele, same sort of thing. You could use that, say, a Razzlevarg even. Nice free-to-play recent fusion. He would work as well pretty well. Gives you increased speed. You don't have the decreased speed, but you've got increased speed, and he's all those AoEs, speed aura, brilliant to be boosted in a lead by Shamael. He's basically boosting them, and he's got good single target damage as well, but it just makes that Head of Torment a non-issue, so that when you're trying to go in and auto your run, like we did most of our run here, most of it on auto, you can go in on auto. When the Head of Torment shows up, it's not gonna, it's not rolling that dice. Is Mithrala gonna be true feared? Is Nekmo gonna be true feared? It's no. The true fear is just a benefit because it's turn meter for your lead champion. So that's a really good one to bring in. Then the 5th piece of this puzzle, and really the final piece, I'll talk about my damage pick. Why the heck did we pick Varl the Destroyer? Nobody uses this champion. Why did I pick him? And how did I win with this champion? The final piece, though, I actually did not pick in the draft because I don't own her, but I was able to get her on the test server by sacrificing my dupes because it's just the test server. It doesn't matter. It's reset now. Anyway, it's gone. It was Molly, which is why I'm not showing you the builds here on the test server, by the way. It's gone. I don't have access to it anymore, and it's wiped clean. Molly Tankard, though, she is just incredible. One of the best Hydra champions ever. I actually really regret never doing a video on her before. I should have sacrificed dupes on the test server and brought you a video on her before, to be honest. I definitely should have done that. Why is she so good? She is on a 3-turn cooldown at AoE Provoke, so you don't need to target it. It works beautifully on full auto. It can actually has a 50% chance to provoke for 2 turns instead. Fantastic. You put her in a reflex set. That's the key. Reflex to reduce her cooldown regularly. You could use impulse even from live arena, though you probably don't have any impulse really. I've got almost none, right? But this is so good. She can permanently keep the head provoked. And actually, I tested this directly because in my first run, I did not have increased speed. Was I able to keep the head provoked the full time? On Brutal, yes, I was. I ran her at about 250 speed, right? So 250 speed, she was able to keep the Head of Decay provoked 100% of the time without having increased speed buff, which is insane. You add increased speed in, and it becomes even more forgiving. We did have decreased speed, but you know, like you get the gist. It's just she is god tier provoker, unbelievably good. She also brings you a revive with block damage, so a very safe revive in case anyone dies. This is amazing too. Her passive fills the turn meter of all allies by 25% when this champion's hit by a boss. It does have a 1-turn cooldown, but basically, like you think how good Seeker is, giving you, was it 30% turn meter every 2 turns he takes? How insanely strong that is. This is almost as good as that, but every 1 turn that she takes. Depends on how quickly the bosses are going if they manage to hit her, but you know, this adds up to so much turn meter. It's insanely good. So Molly's MVP. I regret not having her. You could replace her with another provoker. So I'd say a great example would be Bivald of the Thorn. Would be a really good one. He's going to pop out a provoke AoE every 3 turns. He's also going to give healing and shielding to your team, so even more protection. You'd miss out on the revive, but it's something you can do. You could run someone in a provoke set either. So you could run something like Mighty Uko, right? In a provoke set, he's going to give you, again, a revive. He's going to AoE decrease attack, buff stripping, and decrease accuracy. That's very useful as well. Even backup block buffs. That's a really nice one to throw in as well. He could even be your lead, perhaps. You could do some fun stuff with him, again, in a provoke set. So you do have options for replacing Molly if you don't have her. Like, I no longer have her. So goodbye to my best team ever. I'm not going to be able to build it. Then finally, right. Oh, I forgot to mention the second most important thing about Molly. How could I forget? Because this move gives her reflect damage, that is a buff that no one else in the team is going to have, right? That extra buff will help her to mischief tank. It's not going to be 100%, right? Because it's only one buff. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but it will work most of the time. Most of the time, the Head of Mischief will target Molly. So you simply build her, like I said, around 250-ish speed. And you preferably have the rest of your team faster than that if possible. It's going to make this a little cleaner for mischief tanking. You could have her a little slower, maybe. I wouldn't go below 240, maybe, with Molly. Try to keep her up there. Then she needs enough accuracy and resistance for the level that you're on. For Brutal, it's about 495 resistance, and I think it's about 300 accuracy. For Nightmare, it's more like 400-ish accuracy. Probably a bit lower, actually. I'd need to double check. You can check yourself how much resistance. Go into my Discord. Let me pimp this out real fast. Go onto my Discord. Come up here into useful info. Right, I've got lots of useful info here, but there's the Hydra stats by Bobo. So you come in, let's actually check this real fast. Hydra stats by Bobo. You come in and you say, okay, the Head of Decay, he has 315 resistance. So we're going to want 330 accuracy to beat that. But he can get an extra 50 from Head of Suffering. So you want 380 accuracy for Nightmare. Okay, so there you go. That's how you'd work it out. Boom. Done. Done. Quick dive in to sort that out for you. So there you go. Now you know. So yeah, Molly, she's in there for that. Amazing. And then finally we had our damage dealer. I ran 2 different damage dealers in this competition. So first of all, I ran someone that you may not have if you were playing at the time. You're lucky if you don't. I ran Ninja. Ninja is just doing AoE burns and exploding them. And then he obviously scales up his damage every round. So he's doing a good chunk of damage. So I used Ninja for the first 2 rounds. For the finals, the grand finals, I benched Ninja. I kicked him out for Varl, which is going to be funny because I think people that don't have Ninja are probably very upset. You're probably very upset. You're going, man, I don't have Ninja. That sucks. You're probably not very excited about having Varl, but Varl is amazing. Very similar passive, stacks up to 100% more attack, so he hits really hard, but he has an AoE weaken with decreased attack. This is phenomenal to fit into a Hydra team, actually. Weaken combos super well with Ugo, who does not bring weaken. Right, so now you've got decreased defense and weaken, up all of your team's damage by 25% basically, and another backup decreased attack. This also works well if you don't have Nekmo. Nekmo's bringing decreased attack. Let's say you're using Razzlevarg instead. Now you don't have decreased attack. That makes Head of Wrath scary, right? This brings decreased attack, so you're good. One thing, I basically bring a damage dealer though, that is good affinity against Head of Wrath. I'd say that's important. Like if Head of Wrath is blue affinity, Varl's not going to be good because he's not going to place this move successfully. He's going to get crit a lot and he's going to die. But he's got a really big single target hit here. He's got a big single target hit here. And that's basically that. Varl just hits really hard. And that's what you want in this team. We've got like all of the support. It's all nicely synergized. We just want someone to do damage at the end. I'd say a great free replacement that every single one of you at time of recording is going to have is Artak, who's currently the free login legendary for like another month and a half or something. But he's going to come in with AoE burn, activating the burn and putting decreased attack and then potentially even extending burns in his A1. He's going to be perfect for this team. He brings you that decreased attack. Don't have to worry about it. The burn's going to do good damage. All these AoE hits with War Master are going to do good damage. And yeah, he's going to work really, really well for you. So that's basically how it works. Very simple. You can see here we're about 90 million at this point. Let me skip ahead. Let me show you the actual result because it just keeps going and going and going. I started manualing at the very end. But yeah, it really does keep going. I'm sorry about this. I was hogging the whole stream. That's terrible. But yeah, if you look at that, this was the result at the end. My best ever Hydra team, 211.4 million. I actually got asked a question recently, which was, well, about a couple of months ago, which was, could you build a team to 1 key hard Hydra? Not like, you know, not as in getting 20 million damage, but could you do a hard Hydra team that would do 340? I think this team would certainly come close. It would definitely come close against hard Hydra because you could build your team squishier, get more damage out, and yeah, I think it definitely has that possibility. I didn't test it. I didn't think of testing it, but there you go. So you can see Nekmo at 17 million damage. Varl with 69 million. Molly 2.7. Mithrala 59 million. That's the Hex, her poisons, probably some brimstone damage coming in too. Really phenomenal from her. And 49 million from Shamail. All the big damage is ending in 9 for whatever reason. Ugo at 12.8. I can show you the builds I put on these champions as well, so you guys have that information. Let me actually double speed this for going through. Let me full screen it so it's easier to see. Mithrala on this, because again, this was a contest, guys. Mithrala was built in Impulse, and she was built with lots of crit rate, lots of crit damage. Definitely not essential, right? I mean, if you're going for 200 million, maybe you want to build her like this. If you're trying to have a successful full auto Hydra team that does crazy damage, but it's just successful and easy full auto, I wouldn't bother. I'd just be building her like you normally would. Good speed, decent accuracy, good HP, good defense, and that's most of it, right? That's basically it. She's going to be a backup mischief tank. I have her with these masteries. Again, you don't need War Master for Hydra. It's going to give her a lot more damage, right? A few extra million, but it's not essential. So you can build your Mithrala, like focus on defense and support masteries if you want, which is better for Arena. It's really up to you. But yeah, probably those masteries if you focus purely on Hydra. We've got Nekmo in Relentless and Perception. You could also run him in Provoke, would be pretty good. You could try Reflex if you don't have any of those, or Impulse again. Just Perception would work as well. But good accuracy, good speed, and make him pretty tanky so he won't die. And those are his masteries. So yeah, again, Mother Cybele, very much the same thing. Mother Cybele, I did give her crit rate because she can put out some good damage. So yeah, and Razzlevar could be similar as well. Razzlevar, you can leave him a bit squishier, but give him more damage, right? Then we had Molly Tankard. So she's coming in, and Reflex is very important to get the most out of her. The resistance and the accuracy I talked about, the speed, and then just get her tanky so she doesn't die and she can revive your team. Molly's just insanely good. She's the one that probably blew me away the most in this team as being just an absurdly good champion for Hydra, and I'm sad, like I said, I'm sad I never covered her before. I had masteries like this. It's sort of flexible. Probably better to get resistance in the defense tree, but I just, with the gear I had, I needed the accuracy and not the resistance. So yeah, but something like that for Molly. Lasting gifts to extend her reflect damage is good. Ugo in Relentless, high speed, tanky, enough accuracy, and that's it. I gave mine some crit rate. You definitely don't need that crit rate. It's just for getting a bit of extra damage out, but it does not matter. Yeah, Miracle Heal's pretty decent on her. You could run Cruelty either, it's fine as well. And yeah, those sort of masteries. Then we have, apparently I'm flicking back to Ugo. Okay. Oh, I think Deadwood asked me about the accuracy. I kind of remember that now. You can watch these streams, by the way, on Deadwood's channel to get the full breakdown. Shamail here is built for damage. This is a bit of a greedy build. Again, this is not essential. You can definitely build your Shamail tanky. You could build your Shamail with resistance and give him a blood shield accessory, be a bit of a backup mischief tank. You could totally do that. I built mine for pure damage because, again, I'm going for this record. And, you know, this team was sort of built up perfectly with the Nekmo, the Mithrala. Like, with the full 5-piece combo here, it's very easy to keep him alive, even if he's built pure damage. So that's, you know, it sort of depends on what you want to do. But he just kind of needs to be there and just make Head of Torment a non-issue, and he'll do the job. So this is my Shamail built for maximum damage. I have a whole guide on Shamail and how you can build him alternatively if you want to see that. because this is not a build I would use for everyone, but it's a build you can use if you're easily keeping him alive and you just want to squeeze some extra damage out, sort of a maximum damage sort of build. So yeah, there you are. Reflex set would probably be the best on him, but I didn't have good reflex. And then finally, you have Varl. So Varl's coming in. He's actually in Savage and Perception. Pretty good. Like the Hydra heads have really high defense, so that's useful. Relentless is another good set for damage dealers. They're going to be harder to keep alive at Relentless. They're going to outrun their defensive buffs, but it does work. I ran Ninja in Relentless, but that's why you definitely probably want a Reviver in there. But he's coming in with high attack, high speed, enough accuracy if they've got debuffs to land, and a bit of tankiness as well, so they don't flop over dead at a stiff breeze. And that's basically it. Pretty simple. I'm sure we'll show the masteries here in a second. War Master for some of these damage dealers. I ran Helm Smasher for Varl, especially on his A3. His A3 does ignore defense already. So stacking that ignore defense with Savage, stacking that with Helm Smasher, that stuff is really good to get as much out as possible. And again, that's why Mithrala is so good on this team as well. She provides increased attack, which is what's going to enable Varl to do his maximum damage. If you didn't have increased attack, you couldn't do that. So that's sort of the concept of this team. Yeah, like, so for example, if you stuck Artak in here instead of Varl, you wouldn't need to worry about increased attack or increased defense. You could bring in like a different protection champion instead of Mithrala, and you could make it work, like throw in a Rector Drath or something, right? Throw in a Sigmund the High Shield. I don't know. There's a bunch of different options that you have there that you could bring in. But yeah, I'm not sure if we show the masteries. We'll let this run just to be sure. I think I was explaining in detail the concept behind Varl because he was my surprise pick for the grand finals. But yeah, it was really fun, honestly, to bring in a champion that I'm like, man, no one thinks of this champion. Nobody's going to think of Varl. And his build is wonky because he had too much accuracy. I had empowered +2 on the test server. So he had a wonky mastery build there, actually. Again, you'll hear the full breakdown in the Deadwood Jedi video, which I encourage you to watch. But yeah, there you go, guys. This is my best Hydra team ever. 211 million on Brutal. We don't have a Chrysia. Like, the only Void Legendary we have is Mithrala, who is, yeah, I mean, Mithrala and Varl are both free legendaries that you will get eventually. 2 epics. Nekmo and Molly are the ones that are tricky to get. Again, you can replace them for sure, and you might need to. Like, I don't have Molly, so I'd have to replace her with Bivald or something. And yeah, then Nekmo, a different speed manipulator, would work as well. But hopefully you got some ideas from this one. If you have all these champions, obviously I highly recommend building this team. It smashes Brutal. Case in point, it's going to smash Nightmare as well. No problem. It's going to destroy it. So yeah, it's a heck of a team. I'd say the only things to watch out for would be rotations where Head of Wrath Affinity might be bad for Ugo. That could get a little bit messy. You might have to reset a couple of times because if you miss the block buffs on Wrath, that can get, like, so if you're subbing out somebody here, if you don't have this exact team, the block buffs becomes more important to land, you know, because if the head gets increased attack, you might die, right? If you don't have a Reviver, that could be bad. If you don't have Nekmo decrease attack, that sort of thing. You get the gist though. But yeah, cool. I'm really happy with this team. I hope you guys enjoyed that Hydra competition. I wanted to do a video here on this channel, breaking it down and showing it off. And I'm kind of just, you know, being proud of it, honestly, because it was a sick team to actually build. Yeah, again, the variation, by the way, with Mother Sai Bell, the best version of that team did 130 mil. Actually, let me double check. Let me grab this and swing it over. I have the screenshot somewhere. Oh man, I've got so many Hydra damage screenshots. I'm not sure which one is which. Let me look for 1 second. It did 130 million anyway, is what you need to know. Is this it? Yeah, okay. Oh, not 130, 128. Okay. So the Mother Sai Bell variation did 128 million. So it's a good chunk lower. It's a good chunk weaker. This is missing decrease attack and increase speed. So it becomes a good bit weaker, but it's still viable. So you can see switching out a champion, it is going to make it a lot weaker, but it can still work. So that was the Mother Sai Bell variation. Ninja variation was it this one? Yeah, okay, so actually my best run with Ninja, I haven't showed this before. So this is fresh info. Actually, funny enough, did 211 versus Ninja. The best run was 218. So we did slightly more at Ninja. Now we got better luck. You can see at this run, turns 1,500. We actually hit the turn limit. You can see everyone is alive as well. So this one did less damage per turn, than the Varl variant, but we did get better luck in that run, and nobody got devoured. We actually ended the run quite early on. We were getting so many extra turns with Ninja in Relentless as well. We actually capped out the turn count, which did not happen in the actual finals. We didn't cap out the turn count. We came close. Let me back it up a bit. We came turn 1, 3, 8, 4, which is 2, 7, 8 boss turns, which is insane. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Again, the Varl one was better, but this one had better luck. And we got a little bit further. But yeah, 218, that was with Ninja instead of Varl. So that's super viable too. And again, you can see sort of the difference. Nekmo Thaar definitely the biggest boost to this team. But yeah, there you go. And again, just if you're curious, we got, you know, a lot of teams in here just to give you an idea of like the top 4 teams here from my clan at the moment and the sort of performances you could get. Like what I think is kind of insane. This is probably run on full auto. He didn't manual part of it like I did, I'm sure. But I mean, man, we have 179 million here from a +4 Venus with a 6-star Sifi, you know, with an Acrizia doing 114 million. Like she's obviously on another level as a damage dealer. But I think it's just pretty cool that without that Acrizia, we were able to come in and actually outperform that team overall with a good synergized team. Anyway, okay, cool. Enough blabbing. But that's cool. Here we've got a team with Mishinaki, right? For example, Mishinaki, Husk, Royal Guard. That's a very traditional team. Very, very solid one. Another team with like a Acrizia Artak. That's actually crazy. Artak doing almost as much as a Acrizia. Though I think Artak is bugged right now. Expect him to not be as good as this when they fix him, but still expect him to be extremely good. This team is very similar. With Mithrala. We've got a Kantra as a Provoker instead and a Sisia instead, so very similar concept. You get some ideas from the teams here. Here we've got one with a Razzlevarg. Yeah, he's doing pretty good damage, very similar to Mishinaki and Turvold. Razzlevarg's great here. You get the gist. Thank you for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.